This week in history.
Three, two, one, zero, and liftoff.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
All right, Johnny. So first up I got for us this week is that Jesse James and the James Gang would rob the Obocock Bank in Corydon, Iowa on June 3rd, 1871. So the day we're recording this, James Gang would rob a bank.
Okay, that's it. Like they just robbed a bank.
Well,
Is this like the
so-
start of their journey, or was this
well,
like...
it's not the start of the journey, but it's early in the journey. So if you don't at home, if you don't remember who Jesse James was in the James Gang or any of that, they were legendary figures in the West. They were considered the Robin Hoods of the West, even though there is no historical evidence to suggest that they ever gave any of their money to anybody but themselves.
They just stole.
But-
They just stole from the rich.
They stole from the rich and then kept it.
Which, to be fair, is everything every good thief has ever done.
Pretty much.
Why
Yep.
would you steal from the poor?
Or steal from the rich and then throw the money to the poor. Unless maybe you're like grabbing the poor to get out of whatever.
No, what are you gonna get from the poor? If you're gonna be a thief,
Rob
the
that
rich.
money and keep it.
Like, I mean, for crying out loud, especially back then. Again, easy to be a criminal. Steal from the rich.
Easy to be a criminal.
Like, what are they going to catch you on their Ring camera doorbell? No, it doesn't exist.
Sure doesn't.
You have to break a thin piece of wood to get into their house.
Yeah,
You'll be fine.
Yeah, if you even have to do that, Johnny. They operated from 1864 as Confederate freedom fighters, so they were Confederate soldiers. After the war, they kind of kept that fight going, or basically stole money from the railroads.
We still want to kill people.
Pretty much, yep. And they operated all the way up to 1882, so they would operate for another 11 years after this robbery.
Hot dang.
The Obocock Bank was their 8th major bank/train robbery, where they made away with $15,000, or near the equivalent of $300,000 today. Not a bad haul.
15 times?
What? 20 times.
20 times?
What the current value is? Yeah.
So
like
they,
$8
no,
18
no, they did that 15. They robbed 15 banks or trains.
Oh no, there was more than that. They operated from 1864 all the way up to 1882. So this was their 8th major robbery.
Okay, so 8, and they get about 300. That's a lot of money.
In this one robbery alone.
I mean, I feel like, I guess it's that whole like, oh, I'll do it for the thrill of it or whatever. But I don't know. If it's me and I rob $300,000, maybe I'll try it again. If I get up to the equivalent of today of like 1 million or higher, and I have $1 million in cash, I'm done. Like, what do you need?
this $15,000 was enough back then
like what,
for you to be comfortable.
But that's the
Beyond
problem. That's the problem with
comfortable.
criminals. They don't do it because they need the money. I mean, some do, obviously, but
But they do it because they like
They
it or whatever. Yeah.
do it because they get off on it. Essentially, it's some type of, they get the dopamine, serotonin going, whatever else, or get that adrenaline pumping, and that's what they get. They do.
Now this particular murder the robbery did not result in any kind of murder. But by this time in their career, they had already robbed a total of $50,000, or near $1 million today, and killed an estimated 154 men, which included one time. Well, most of that is from during the Civil War. They robbed a train or attacked a train and killed 150 Union soldiers. So, like, that number's a little bit embellished. But during the whole
it's not embellished. Tommy, soldiers are people too.
Are they though? Anyway,
I mean,
they killed 4 civilians in their first 8 raids.
in 184.
And
So
and
they're
stole damn near $1 million.
at this point they're valuing human life at $5,434 per person.
That's not. I've seen worse.
I mean, I'm not
valuations of
worth
human life.
right now. I'm not worth that. I can tell
Yeah,
you
but
that
your
much.
wife, your wife is, Johnny. You're living the high life.
Oh, my wife, yeah, but I'm not. I don't have an insurance. Like if I disappear, you're gonna owe money. If I die, it's just like, sorry, you're in debt now. Not me anymore.
Yeah. All right, Johnny. So my last thing I got for us is that D-Day would happen on June 6th, 1944. We cannot go a week without talking about Hitler in some way, shape, or form. Well, this, Johnny, is where the Allies, and by Allies I mean the white Christian democracy Allies,
Right.
stick it to the Nazis.
Which I'm sorry, I don't know why you have to clarify that. Is that not everybody?
Oh, we had the communists from Russia. Remember those dirty, dirty commies?
No, don't remember that. I
No.
just remember good white Christian men saving the world.
Yep. Yeah, there was no commies in there at all. Nope.
Okay.
Uh, Formerly, this was known as Operation Neptune, and it was the Allied invasion of Normandy, France. And it was the largest at this time. Now, granted, throughout the war, there would be larger operations, but it was the largest airborne and seaborne invasion in history up to this point, and marked the final stages of the war because once we took over France, it was pretty much a race between us and the dirty commies to see who could kill Hitler first.
All right. He beat us both.
Well, yeah, Hitler sure did. Uh, Forces from the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, and France would take part of the invasion, although I have to clarify that when I say France, I mean the freedom fighters in France, the
Yeah, because France was
underground,
divided, right? Like
because
they were,
yeah, the dirty, dirty Vichy
and,
French government was very much in favor of
yeah,
Hitler and loved
and
Hitler.
that's why France is kind of fucking
Like,
French, right?
we
Like,
claim they were an ally in World War II, but
half of them, right?
yeah, parts of them were, and parts of them were, and at parts of the time they were. They're like the Italians. It's like whoever is winning, we're with you.
Yeah, it's because most like Eddie Izzard said, most Italians are just sitting on their mopeds going ciao. They didn't care about.
Ciao.
Oh, we're fascists now. Okay, ciao.
Ciao.
Like, they don't care. Like, they're
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
just being Italian.
Planning of the operation actually began as far back as 1943, and they used substantial misinformation with the whole operation called Operation Bodyguard, which misled Germans through the whole like inflatable tanks thing, like we had discussed in previous
Yeah.
episodes. And they also dumped the body off the coast of France with intel on him that said the attack was happening not at Normandy. And of course, the Germans,
Yeah.
like idiots, believed it. Or I should say, Hitler, like an idiot, believed it.
Could you imagine trying to pull something off like that today? Like trying to like feed misinformation? Because literally like everything's misinformation now.
The
In
Russians
some
did it in
form
our
or
last
fashion.
election.
Huh?
I said the Russians did it in our last election.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like,
It's so easy now.
yeah, because
Weird.
everything's that.
Yeah. The Allies, they would utilize 156,000 infantrymen and airborne soldiers, along with an additional 195,700 naval personnel. So this was a pretty substantially large
I mean,
operation.
195 just naval personnel.
Just naval personnel, yeah.
That
With an
is
additional
so.
156,000 like actual boots, like infantry on the ground, through either airborne operations or landing operations.
Okay, so what's that total? What's that total? The
Just
total number.
like 350,000 ish.
350,000 people. Fishers has a population of like 92,000 people.
Yeah,
Fishers is a pretty big city in central Indianapolis, like Indiana, like northern Indianapolis. Like it's 3 times that.
Yeah, it's like 3 Fishers going to war.
That's mind-boggling.
Huge. Yeah, huge.
That number doesn't make sense. Like I can't
Germans
digest it.
The Germans would defend the beaches with 50,350-ish soldiers and
Woof.
170 coastal artillery guns, so they were a little bit outnumbered.
Well, yeah, but they were outnumbered, but we're doing that thing where basically you just run people into machine gun fire and overwhelm.
And they sure did, Johnny. The invasion was supposed to take place on the 5th, but weather caused a 24-hour delay, and even when the actual invasion took place in the morning of June 6th, the weather was still kind of shit for what they were trying to do. But they did it anyways, because,
You got that many people ready to go.
well, we can't just wait forever.
You tell 300,000 people
Not
they
that.
can't do the thing that they were brought there to do
Yeah.
today.
So the invasion started with airborne operations, where the airborne were dropped behind the enemy lines, where they were supposed to basically disrupt shit, which
Right,
they did
yeah,
a good
just start
job of that.
dropping bombs, making people freak out. Some people go back to it. People don't
Yeah,
know what to do.
and they did a good job
Can't
of that.
resupply.
Although they were misdropped all over the place. A lot of the fields were flooded by the Germans coming into D-Day, so there were plenty of airborne soldiers that wound up drowning in like cornfields because they were flooded and all
Wait,
your equipment weighed you down.
wait, hold on. Back up, rewind. Who flooded the fields? Why did they flood them?
The
How?
Nazis the Nazis figured an invasion was coming
Yeah.
because we have German officers that weren't Hitler and didn't believe that the invasion was happening north. They believed it was happening.
Yeah,
at
they're
home,
like,
so
okay, yeah, this is happening, and so they flooded fields
they
just to
flooded
make it
fields,
hard to get across.
get around,
obviously.
and when airborne soldiers dropped into said flooded fields, they were weighed
Airborne
down with
soldier,
equipment.
with their
And couldn't get
parachutes
out
and
of the
everything
parachutes,
else.
couldn't get out of all the equipment, and would
They
wind
turn
up. So a lot of people just wound up drowning.
they turn it into quicksand, essentially.
Pretty much, yep. Um,
Holy
Shortly after the
shit.
airborne operation started, the naval bombardment and plane bombardment happened,
Yeah.
which was massive. One of the largest bombardments of all history, which effectively did absolutely nothing because the German bunkers were top notch.
We're capable bunkers.
There are pictures of these bunkers. I mean, shot to shit. They look like Swiss cheese, but
Yeah.
they kept the guys inside fine.
Yeah, I mean, not quite like Swiss cheese because those holes go all the way through. But
Yeah, these are just like dimples.
yeah, it looks like a golf ball, maybe.
Yeah, golf ball dimples. Yep.
But yeah, everybody's fine. Holy shit! And so
Yep,
that was just flying over, dropping bombs, hoping to
flying over, dropping bombs, and then bombarding
the herd.
from the naval boats. Using those
Yeah.
cannons to bombard. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. At 6:30 a.m., the landings began. The beaches were split into 5 sectors. We had Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juneau, and Sword. Casualties were the heaviest at Omaha, which was a American attacked beach, mainly because there was a shit ton of high cliffs. So not only did you have to get across the open beach where you're getting machine gunned down, now you're gonna have to go up a cliff where you're getting machine gunned down to try to take some bunkers.
Yeah.
High casualties. The goal of the operation was that they were supposed to, in the first day, take the cities of Carentan, St. Lo, Bayeux, and Caen, or Cayenne, Sayon. I can't speak French.
How's it
And they were
spelled?
it's a C-A-E-N.
Caen, Cayenne.
C-A-E-N, yeah. Cayenne?
Yeah.
Cyan?
Cyan. I don't know.
Cyan? I don't know. Anyways.
It's not
they're
a
supposed to-
color. Anyway.
But first day, they were supposed to take those 5 cities, and they were supposed to link the 5 beachheads together. They linked the beachheads of Juneau and Gold, and that was it. And none of the other goals were accomplished on the first day.
On account of all the Germans just murdering everybody?
Yeah, pretty much.
Is that what did it? Is that what
That's
held
yeah,
them
that's what did
back?
it would take until June 12th for the beaches to be linked together, and it would take until July 21st for the last city of Cayenne to actually fall to the Allies. So it was a successful operation, but not
Eventually.
but not as successful as we like to claim it is as Americans. There were
Well,
some setbacks.
Although I know little about it. I'm not this historian person or whatever. But like, when I hear D-Day and when I hear people talk about it or everything else, I don't even like before we talked about it today. I wouldn't have even been sure it was a victory for us. Because all I ever hear about it is how many people died.
Yeah,
and you see the pictures of like the people going and doing the outlines of people on the beaches, where it's like this many, all for each casualty they put a human silhouette, whatever.
Yep.
And so like that's my like what I came into with it. And so like I don't know if we really wave our flag around that a ton, do we?
Yeah, well.
A little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just missing all that. Like,
it's just, I mean, we acknowledge the massive casualties, but like, you don't, like, granted, the expectation to take those 5 cities and link all the beaches together in one day, Like
Yeah, well, and we
any
also,
logical person would have gone, that's not going to happen.
I mean, we also tend to just say everything that happened that we did in World War II was the best thing in the world,
was
and
the
we
best thing.
saved
Yeah,
everything.
it was a successful operation in the end, but it took some time getting there and some casualties. So,
Now that'll happen.
casualties were estimated for the Germans to be between 4,000 and 9,000 men. That's including killed, wounded, captured. A lot of those that were
4 to
on
9.
the-
I mean, that's a big. I mean, that's we either have this many or double that.
Well,
Like-
it's hard to know because our records weren't the greatest because we were a little bit more concerned than counting prisoners
Yeah,
and dead. And the German records aren't great because they got the hell out of there pretty quick. So, and the other reason why the German records
That's
aren't
fair.
the greatest is because a lot of the German soldiers,
yeah,
quote, were actually like captured POWs from the Eastern Front that were told, hey, instead of sitting in a POW camp, why don't you go to the Western Front and fight for us? And instead of being put into a death camp, they said, yep. I'll
I
do it.
mean, really though.
And in Saving Private Ryan, there's a great scene, and it's not like dialogue, so you don't know what they're saying, but
Yeah.
you have two Germans, quote unquote, coming out with their hands up saying, speaking in a foreign language, and the two Americans shoot him because they're like, look, I washed for supper. But essentially what they actually say is, don't shoot us, we're not German, we're Czech, we're surrendering, don't shoot us, we're Czech. And
Well, we shoot him anyway.
we shoot them anyways because, well, we're Americans and that's what we do.
Yeah, I
and it's a
mean, make
movie,
your
so
choice.
whatever.
Like, where would you go with that? Are you gonna go die in a prison camp, or are you gonna be like, all right,
Oh,
I
I'm
was
definitely
shooting-
fighting
I
on the
was
Western
shooting
Front.
people in
Deal.
one uniform, I guess I'll go shoot people in another.
Deal. Yep. The Allies would lose 10,000 total casualties, with 4,414 confirmed dead on the beaches. Most of those were actually American because the two American beaches were the heaviest casualties.
Yeah.
The British and the Canadian beaches were
No, the
not that they
reason
weren't, not that they didn't have their own obstacles, but they weren't as heavily defended.
the obstacles was the main thing that made the American beaches the highest.
Yeah, the
that
heights-
was
the
that
heights-
the
yeah.
complications of it.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
wasn't-
the heights and the landmines and everything else that were. Yeah, it was rough.
They just
Um,
had to go into a high defensed area.
Yeah, yeah.
Higher. I mean, I know
Yeah.
all of the beach was pretty insanely defensed,
Yeah,
but
because
we overwhelmed
General
them with
Rommel,
numbers.
the head of the whole Africa Corps for the Germans tank division,
yeah,
he was actually given command of the Atlantic Wall, and he was competent and decided to actually defend shit and spent a lot of time defending. So where we thought we were going to go into like minefields that were X here and X here, a combination of boats drifting because of the bad weather, putting us on the wrong areas of the beach to land,
yeah.
and a combination of the Germans actually up defending. We ran into minefields where we thought there weren't minefields. So
Yeah.
it was definitely a very rough go and hard fought one.
Sure is
and-
nice to talk about competent generals in this podcast.
Yeah, right. We don't have those very often.
Someone who actually knows what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, we don't have them very often, though. In addition to the 4,414 that were confirmed dead, we also lost 185 Sherman tanks during the D-Day assault. But who gives a shit?
Okay.
Because we got like 8,000 more in reserves because we're America and we've got,
Rosie the Riveter.
Rosie the Riveter riveting tanks.
Yeah, yeah. And that's This Week in History.